Yeah, for me personally, I would put Kiriko in the ZZZ tier. That's just how I personally feel about her playstyle. In this video, we're going over the most to least fun characters in Overwatch. And yes, this is the definitive list. It's only facts, and your opinion does not matter. No, I'm just kidding. If you have a different opinion, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But we're going to jump right into this video. Now, it's starting all the way at the bottom with ZZZ. Playing these characters make you want to fall asleep, but you'll still play them if it means you're gonna guarantee win that game. And then most is funnest is the characters that you just have a blast no matter how bad, how toxic, how horrible the gaming experience is. You're still having fun just vibing playing these characters. Now, the first character that we got to talk about is Cassidy, and I think that there have been times in Cassidy's past where he was actually pretty fun to play, especially in Overwatch 1 when he had that flashbang. I think he was just a really solid character that was fun. These days, he feels a little bit inconsistent, and it's frustrating when his grenade is inconsistent. He's not really that strong right now in the meta, and, you know, winning is always fun, and I think that you have to really like this type of character in particular in order to have a fun time. Overall, I'm going to put him in the meh tier. He's fine, but I don't think you're having a great time all the time. Next off, let's talk about Ana. And I mean, come on. Ana just gives you so much agency over a game. She has a ton of skill expression. You can kill things. You can clutch. You can hit crazy sleeps. You can hit crazy nades. There's a reason that she's one of the most picked characters in the game. It's just like, no matter what happens, you're having a good time. I think the only time you're really having a frustrating time is when you're getting no assistance from your team, constantly getting jumped on by a whole bunch of people. That can be really frustrating. But even those situations, I think, can be fun because it's like the challenge of trying to stop these people from coming after you. I'm gonna give her the triple S tier. I mean, come on, she's one of the most fun characters to play in the game. Next up, we do gotta talk about Ashe, and I think Ashe can be pretty fun overall. Bob is really fun to use. You get to dynamite people, light them on fire. You get to kind of perch up and just shoot a lot. Overall, though, you're not really necessarily being super interactive. You're not being hyperactive. There's not like decisions all the time. It feels like sometimes you just kind of perch up in a good position and then just aim, which is like okay overall. And I do think that reloading on this character sometimes is a buzzkill. It kind of feels like a buzzkill a little bit, where you're slowing down your momentum, and it can be frustrating when you're like trying to bounce between shooting a little bit and reloading, shooting a little bit and reloading. I think she could be a good time, but she's not gonna be like a super fun time. Next up, we do gotta talk about Doomfist, and this one is definitely gonna be one of the more purely opinion-based ones on this list, because I do think that Doom is a very fun character to play, but his super high times, the high moments, have some really bad moments that are super frustrating. Whether your punches are getting Suzu'd, like the worst feeling in the world is like getting a potential 4-man or 5-man punch that gets freaking Suzu'd and you fly through the team and like off the map or just die or whatever. It's just super frustrating. Not to mention getting hacked is frustrating, and just dying out of nowhere can be frustrating. And yeah, there's like super frustrating points, right? But there's also these moments where you just pop off so hard. You have a lot of freedom and flexibility with how you play and how you transverse the map. So I think like on his good times, he's like one of the most fun characters to play, but in his bad times, he can be really bad. I still think he's more fun on average than Ashe, though. I'm gonna put him in the fun as F tier, but I do recognize that there are some really bad times with this character, but yeah, I think that there are also really good times as well. Now, next up, let's talk about Diva, and I think that Diva is potentially pretty fun. It kind of depends on the type of person you are, whether or not you really like to, you know, deny a lot of what the enemy team's doing. I think that's the most fun aspect of this character. When you're eating pulse bombs, when you're eating grabs, when you're making someone's life a living hell, like just denying, it can be pretty fun, right? But outside of that, the character, I mean, sometimes you're just kind of sitting there poking a little bit. You're not doing things all the time. Getting big bombs is fun. I think especially when you learn some bomb lineups, that can be fun. Overall, I think the character is a good time, but it depends on what you like your preferred play style. And it's not always going to be the most fun character. I'm going to put her in the good time. I think she's fine, but you're not having a blast playing her all the time. Now, the next character I got to talk about is Echo, and I think that a lot of the normal play patterns of Echo can be a bit boring at times. You know, you're poking a lot, you're, you know, taking an off angle, just trying to build ult charge. But there are moments where Echo's super fun, whether you're going in and beaming people or whether you're ulting. Ulting is a blast on this character, and I think you combine those two aspects together and it pushes her a little bit over the edge of good time to a pretty fun character overall. Not very fun if you're playing into a lot of your hard counters, of course, and a lot of hit scans and things like that, but just in random games, I think she's a blast to play, especially that ultimate, one of the most fun ultimates in the game, just because, you know, if you get to pop off with multiple ults or something, you know, copying a Junker Queen, there's a lot of ults or people that you can copy that just, it's a blast, and the potential is really high. So yeah, I'm putting her in the fun as hell tier. Next character that we have for you is Genji, and Genji is going to be fairly similar to Doomfist in that he has some really high moments. There are frustrating times on this character, surely, but Genji is just a character that, because he's so fun, that's one of the reasons why he's played all the time. He's played a ridiculous amount, mainly because people really like the feeling of popping off with him. He gives you a lot of clutch potential, and you always can see a place or a situation where you could have played the engagement better, and there's always like a higher mechanical threshold to reach, right? And I think that especially when you see an opportunity to go in, get multiple kills, it's a blast. It's unlike pretty much anything else, and that's why there's more Genji one tricks than just about any other character. I will say though that there are very frustrating times to play Genji. There are characters you can do nothing about. There are characters that make your life a living hell, and these kind of balance things out a little bit. I'm gonna put him, you know, right about where Doomfist is, maybe a little bit above. But yeah, still a fun character with also some really big downsides at times. Now, the next character I have for you is going to be a super big hot take, Hanzo. I personally think Hanzo is a very fun character to play. Now, one of the characters that can actually one-shot consistently, and yes, this is going to be a hot take, but Hanzo, from the person who plays him's point of view, you're having a blast. Because hitting your shots on Hanzo, just destroying people that chase you down, I mean, there's nothing even remotely close to hitting multiple headshots on this character back to back. It just feels so damn satisfying. It's one of the reasons why there's a lot of Hanzo loyalists. And yes, I know that this character can be frustrating to play if you can't hit your shots. That's just flat out a skill issue. I mean, it's a flat out a skill issue. If you are playing this character like you're freaking R-gay, you're having a blast. Just 100% of the time, and sometimes you're going on these flanks, getting away with murder, headshotting someone, running away, headshotting another person. You can have a blast on this character, and yes, Hanzo is frustrating for everyone else to deal with. You're sucking the fun away from the enemy team, and you're giving it to yourself. I'm putting him as one of the most fun characters to play in the game, and yeah, I don't know what to say. I think he's incredibly fun. This is probably a biased pick, but let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below. Now, next up, we have Illari, and this is a character that is relatively new, so of course, she's going to move around a bit as people get more used to the character, but I mean, what's better than a support? A DPS. So, of course, she's going to be super fun. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But really, this character, it gives you so much agency over your games. You can pop off, you can ult, you got a lot of mobility. There's just a lot about this character that is, it's hard not to really enjoy this character. I am a little bit hesitant to put her in the most is funnest tier, mainly because I just haven't put enough hours on her personally to really get a feel for how fun she is. But from everything that people have been telling me, everything that people have been saying, I would imagine she deserves it up here. I'm gonna put her at the top of fun as fuck for now, but keep in mind that she could realistically be up here. I'm just not 100% sure at this point. I don't want to put her all the way up there if she doesn't really deserve it. The next character that we have for you is Brig, and I think it takes a special type of person to really enjoy the play pattern of Brig. Not to say that it's super boring or anything like that, but oftentimes the optimal way to play is a bodyguard play style where you're sticking really close to people you're trying to protect. You're not pushing forward to trigger Inspire. You're really waiting for the enemy team to try to contest you to trigger Inspire and consistently keep your Inspire uptime up. And this occasionally creates situations where you're not being aggressive where other characters would. You're oftentimes playing fairly passive and you're playing really slow oftentimes. And in addition to that, I think that there's a lot of downtime on this character. Not necessarily bad downtime, but just moments where you're not really supposed to do anything. You're not supposed to push forward. You're not supposed to do anything. You're just supposed to chill and wait. And some people are not really going to like that. There's less setup phases and there's less action phases on this character. But some people are going to really like the fact that when things do happen on this character, you get to deny a lot of what the enemy team's doing. And that's super fun. It's kind of like the diva thing where you get to stop enemies from doing what they want to do all the time, and shutting them down is where you get your amusement from that. But I think it happens less often than diva does. I'm going to put her, you know, probably here. I also think that if you can cancel something with your ultimate on Brig, that's one of the most fun things you can possibly do. Canceling something, straight up stunning it. Stunning a Sigma ult or something like that with your Brig ult is just like top 5 feelings in Overwatch. But outside of that, I think it's kind of meh. It's fine. Some people are going to really like it, but for me, not really. The next character on the list we do got to talk about is Junkrat Queen, and there's really not much quite like Junkrat Queen. The ability for you to just absolutely decimate people, hook them off the high ground, or just get these giant multiple person cleaves over and over and over again. One of the most fun characters in the game by far. I think that especially when you get really good at this character and learn your limits, you're just going to be able to completely roll the enemy team and you feel like an unstoppable monster. When things are going good for you on this character, you feel like you put the entire team on your back. You get to do so much. It's undoubtable that this character is one of the most fun characters to play in the game. Next up, we do got to talk about Junkrat. And for Junkrat, I'm actually going to rank him a little bit higher because I'm not going to base him based off of people that don't really know how to play the character. I think I'm going to base him based off of people that have some experience playing this character. And there's a lot you can kind of do that's pretty cheeky, whether that's jumping or flying behind the enemy team and ulting, or setting up some trap plays that you just get to skamaz the enemy team, or playing for one shots or flying through the air. There's a lot of different things that you could do. I think overall he's a pretty good time. Now, if you're just using him as the defense spam bot, you're not having a fun time. You're just like kind of existing. But if you're playing him the way that I imagine you can play him and what people do play him as, you're having a good time. Undoubtedly, you're having a good time. Next up, we do kind of talk about Kiriko. And yeah, for me personally, I would put Kiriko in the ZZZ tier. That's just how I personally feel about her playstyle. Yes, you could take aggressive off angles. Yes, you could teleport on the DPS, but maybe it has to do with the inconsistency in damage. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I don't know, maybe I'm not really sure what it has to do with. I just personally don't really have a great time with the character, but I do understand that this character is fairly fun, does have fun cycles to play, does have a lot of actions per minute. You're always kind of staying active. There are pop-off situations where you could just get dink after dink after dink. Undoubtedly a character you can have a good time on. I'm going to put her here. I think that she is probably higher for most people. I just cannot justify putting her up here because, like I said, I think this is one of my least favorite characters in the game to play. And this is not because I'm bad at the character. I solo grinded her all the way to Grandmaster 2, I believe, just one-tricking this character. So, I know how to play this character. It's just, I just do not have fun playing this character personally. Next up, we do got to talk about Lifeweaver. And while I have been very vocal about my dislike for Lifeweaver as a character, I do think, even though the character isn't that strong, but hot take, I know this is not what the video's about, but I think the character is very, very fun to play. And it's a heal botter as well. One of the few supports that you can heal bot on and still get value. So you get to just kind of chill, pull people out, get to just kind of exist and get to pull off some cool plays with your platform and your tree. And I think there's a lot of cool plays that you can kind of pull off. Still, maybe not the most fun character in the game, but I think a lot more fun than people give Lifeweaver credit for. And that really kind of speaks to the fact that so many people, even when Lifeweaver was super trash in the previous patch, were trying to make Lifeweaver work. Everyone was just trying to play this character as much as they could because they were having a fun time on it. I know a lot of people have a fun time on Lifeweaver. I'm putting Lifeweaver here. You know, personally, I would put Kiriko lower than Lifeweaver, but I know most people are going to put Kiriko higher than Lifeweaver, but definitely let me know which one you think is more or less fun in the comments down below. Lucio. Come on. Lucio is just one of the most fun characters possible. That's why there's so many freaking Lucio mains. Yes, he has some problems in ranked play, especially in lower tiers of play where I feel like you don't have as much agency as other characters, which can be frustrating, but from rollout to ceasing people off the map to just getting to vibe and do your own thing to just destroying a DPS in a 1v1. There's so many fun moments that Lucio mains get to be a part of. Lucio is probably one of my worst characters in the game, so I'm not going to have fun on the character, but I can recognize how much fun people have on the character. I'm putting him in one of the mostest funnest characters in the game for sure. Next up, we do got to talk about Mei. Mei is just kind of the epitome of just a good time. You're having a fun time. You're vibing, you get to throw walls up. It's really fun to deny people, shut them down. Blizzard can be fun. You freeze the enemy team. I don't necessarily think you're having a blast, but you are having a good time overall. I would say that in Overwatch 1, when you full freezed people, that was a good time on Mei. Like a really, really good time. That was fun as hell. Mainly because it was just really fun freezing the same person over and over again. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm just a messed up individual, but I had a lot of fun freezing a Winston. Like a Winston would ult, you would freeze them into timing it with your ultimate to freeze them again, and they would just stay frozen the whole goddamn ult. It was just the best in the world, but yeah, you can't do that anymore. Of course, you don't freeze them anymore with your primary fire, but yeah, I think that's, yeah, I'm gonna put her in a good time. think that's perfectly fine. Mercy. So this one's going to be a little hard for me to personally rate because I don't really play Mercy that much. But I do think that there's a reason that a lot of people like her, and it's because she's fun. I know that not everyone's going to understand how pocketing is fun and not shooting yourself is fun. Couple things. Number one, you get a lot of mobility, like a freaking ton of mobility. And there is like a game that is being played when people are chasing you and you just get to do all these movement techs and you're flying around and flying up. And there's like some type of joy that you really get by like staying alive at a really low health and narrowly dodging all these people coming after you. It's like the most epic game of tag, or yeah, there's like the pro esport, or not esport, the pro sport that's coming out of nowhere, the tag game where people are like chasing each other. That's kind of how it is. It's like that, where you get that feeling where you're just narrowly dodging all this stuff. And I think that's kind of cool. Plus, pop that ultimate. Sometimes Mercies kind of get a little crazy with it and whip out that pistol, and killing people with pistol, out pistoling a DPS. It's pretty fun. I'm going to put her in the fun as hell tier. Might be a hot take, but there's a reason why so many damn people like this character. Next up, we do got to talk about Moira, and I think that this character is fun if you play her aggressive and go for kills and try to kill people. Play her like a heal bot and you're having like the worst time possible. Overall, though, I would probably give her a... yeah, she's pretty fun. She's pretty fun. The fact that you get to chase people down, you get a lot of mobility, you get the ability to get a lot of kills, you get to do a lot of different things, and I think that makes her pretty fun overall. Definitely not as fun as some of these upper tier characters, but not a static character by any means that is kind of restricted in the way that she has to play. Gets a lot of freedom, mainly because of her mobility, and I'm going to put her up in the fun as hell tier. Orisa, one of the most fun... No. Orisa is our first ZZZ character. This character is resident freaking sleeper. Everyone knows it. Orisa mains, you know it. I know it. You know it. Everyone has played Orisa at some point, and this character is just, it plays itself. It's like one of the worst characters they've ever made. It was bad. It was bad in freaking Overwatch 1, and it's a nightmare to deal with now. Yes, I'm using this entire section to just vent about Orisa, but why was this character created? I do not know. I don't know. She's just put her here. She's here. Sorry. Next up is Baptiste. This one's gonna be, if I put him pretty low, I think he's okay. I think probably a good time. I think it's a good time. Mainly because Baptiste gets to do a lot of things. The reason I'm not putting him higher, I don't think that his damage feels always that impactful. Like sometimes it can be, but sometimes you feel like you're kind of shooting into the void. And there are certain maps he's not very good in, but there are clutch moments with the character, and it is kind of nice when you get to keep messing with enemies by like transversing high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground. There are a lot of really, really loyal Baptiste players that just swear by him and have a blast with them. I'm not one of them, but I do understand why. He does have a lot of like powerful bits of his kit. I think that Illari is probably a bit more fun, mainly because some of her damage feels a bit more impactful because it's higher burst damage, and she gets to be a little bit more fluid with her mobility because it boops her out and it has CC and all that stuff. But still, he's a very fun character. I'm going to put him up towards the top of good time. Pharah. Pharah's another tricky one. Some people have a blast playing Pharah. I don't personally really understand why. A lot of times the proper way to play this character is by spamming from afar. Yes, hitting direct rockets is cool, but oftentimes you're not having these crazy, direct rocket battles or anything like that. I think most of the time this character has a really boring neutral game. I'm putting Pharah on meh. Hey, sue me, I'm putting Pharah on meh. I don't have a fun time playing this character. I don't think that anyone really has a fun time playing this character. I personally believe that this character is picked so much because she's free wins. Is that a hot take? It might be a hot take, but I think that people just like to win with this character. If they didn't win with this character would be picked very, very little. I said it. This character is also not fun to play at all without a mercy pocket. A character that 100% requires another character to have any fun. You get in the meh tier. You're lucky I don't put you in the ZZZ tier. Ramattra. I gotta put him in the most is funnest tier. Ultimate super fun. Brawling people super fun. Getting to put the entire game on your back super fun. He gives you a lot of flexibility in your playstyle, a lot of flexibility in your skill. He just kind of is the all-in-one package that just like, he's filled with fun. You get a lot of fun playing him. A lot of Ramattra mains really liked playing this character. He's just a really fun time. He's powerful. He's flexible. There's not really much else to say besides, it's a very fun character to play. one of the better characters that Blizzard has added to the game. Yeah, I'm gonna put him up in the most is funnest tier. Next up, let's talk about Reaper. Oh man, Reaper's tricky. I think Reaper could hypothetically be a good time, but he's kind of plagued by being so goddamn weak in the meta for at least higher ranks of play. In low ranks of play, he's okay, but yeah, he's a little bit awkward, I would say. He's a little awkward. I think he's super fun though. Death Blossom can be fun. I personally have a lot of fun with him, but I don't want to let my biases run rampant too much. I'm going to put him probably about here. I'm going to put him here. Dance Dance Revolution is a really fun ultimate, and sometimes you just get to bully people on this character. I'm gonna put him in a good time, especially when you're popping off on this character. It feels really fun. Next off, we have Bastion, and of course, Bastion is a freaking blast. A lot of people are having a lot of fun with this character. Now, people don't have a lot of fun against him, kind of similar to the Hanzo situation, but playing Bastion's a different story. You get to post up, you get to shoot things, you get to have your team look out for you. He's just a fun time. Even before he was good, even when he was bad, you get a lot of Bastion mains. People just like to play Bastion, like the experience of Bastion. You get to just track people. Really fun to just track people around. His ultimate is fun even. I'm going to put him up here in the fun as hell. You know, he's a pretty fun character overall. Reinhardt is a fun-ass character. I said it. Getting shatters are cool. Fire Strike is pretty fun. The Rein v. Rein mirror is really fun. There are frustrating things that you can deal with on Rein. You know, people flanking you from behind and other tanks that refuse to swap for the Rein mirror. No, I'm just kidding. He's a fun character. A lot of people swear by him. I think most people, especially Rein mains, are going to put him in the most is funnest tier. I'm going to put him at the very top of the fun as hell tier. And of course, I personally don't have as much fun on him as I do like on characters like Doom and Genji. But I'm a little bit biased around mobility, of course. And I do think that Rein is more objectively fun based on the community. He's just one of the most loyal one-trick communities centered around Rein. A lot of people love this character, and even me, who's probably one of the worst Reins ever, I still have a blast on this character. Roadhog. Now, Roadhog is a fun character in a vacuum, but he's not a fun character in his current state. He's not consistent enough. There's nothing less fun than hooking someone that doesn't die. There's nothing less fun than getting permanated, and there's nothing less fun than playing Roadhog. Right now, he's just a really bad time. I would say that on the maps where you can hook people off the map, yes, he's probably like a fun as fuck. But on every other map, he's the worst right now. And it really doesn't have to do with the character himself. It more has to do with his place in the meta. He needs a rework to actually make sense at all. I'm going to put him in the ZZZ tier. We'll put him down here. Next off is Sigma. This is going to be a pretty hot take. I play a lot of Sigma myself, and a lot of people love Sigma. They love Sigma to death, and I get it. I get it. You really like Sigma, but let's be honest here. Oftentimes, a good, flawless Sigma game is one that is rather boring. Yeah, you could hit some cool rocks here and there, but you're playing your effective range, you're poking and whittling the people down, you're ulting like 2 people, and you're just rinsing and repeating. You're just controlling your resources, you're poking down. It's like an attrition thing. There's nothing crazy happening, no action, no craziness. You're min-maxing your gameplay. And some people are really gonna like that. Freaks. I'm sorry, not freaks, but yeah, you know who you are. You're gonna really like that kind of play, but you have to at least acknowledge that it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. I'm putting him in the meh tier. I think honestly, if Sigma was more fun to play, he would see way more pick rate. That might be a hot take, but it is what it is. Sojourn is a fun character to play. Very fun character to play. Got a cool ultimate, you got a slide that can take vert, have a high skill ceiling. Can be frustrating, of course, if you're not hitting your shots, but outside of that, very fun character to play. Pretty flexible character to play. Think about here, I would probably tie her with Mercy on opposite ends of the spectrum. 2 completely different types of players, but are both having a lot of fun on the characters they like to play. Soldier 76. Soldier 76 is a fun time. I think he's kind of a little bit like Ashe, except more fun on average. Ashe might be more powerful in the meta, and winning's fun, of course, but you're going to have a lot of fun just playing Soldier, running around and kind of poking things down. Sometimes you do feel like you're kind of poking into the void. You don't get as many flashy highlight moments as you do with some of these other characters, but you do get like that steady dopamine hit. I'm going to put him kind of a little bit underneath Baptiste. He's a good time. He's a good time. You're having a good time with playing him. Sombra. Sombra is a character. It's another tricky character for me to rate personally because I'm just not very good, particularly at Sombra. I know that Sombra players swear by this character, but I'm not entirely sure if they're having fun while they're doing it. Sombra players, you gotta let me know. Are you having fun, or Are you just getting fun by winning, or are you getting fun by making other people suffer? Like let me know where you think you deserve to be on this list. I would personally probably put you on the meh tier, but I know that there's so many loyal Sombra mains. Y'all are having a good time. I know y'all are having a good time. I'm gonna put Sombra in the fun as fuck tier at the bottom. I think that this is where most Sombra players would probably place her, but you gotta let me know if you agree or disagree with that placement down below. Symmetra is another strange one because she just received these crazy nerfs, and it's hard for me to place Symmetra because I think before, Symmetra was a very, very fun character to play. A lot of people really, really love this character, and I would have put her all the way in the most is funnest tier. But these days, a lot of sim mains are frustrated with the state of the character. They're frustrated. They think the character needs buffing, and I agree, and, you know, it kind of messed up the character. They kind of messed up the character a little bit. I understand that she had a really high win rate in the metal ranks of play, and Blizzard wanted to kind of balance that out, but she also just got super nerfed in the high ranks of play too, and I really do think that until they put her in a decent state, I'm going to put her in the meh tier. I do think that she's still fairly fun, but I know that a lot of sim players are really frustrated, and I'm just kind of going to put her here relative to that frustration. But before, I'll put her in like fun as fuck or most is fun, and she's probably still realistically like fun as fuck or a good time. But, you know, that recency bias a little bit is kicking in, and I think a lot of people are upset with the character. Torb's a good time. You're not having the greatest time ever, but the benefit of Torb is you're like still 99% as effective if you're like super drunk, so that's nice. Okay. Yeah, Torb's a fun time. So yeah, no shade to Torb fans. I love you. Tracer is fun. Popping off as Tracer is fun. I think a lot of people that are like goated at Tracer would put her in the most is funnest tier, but she definitely is frustrating. There are things that could shut you down. It's frustrating when you feel like you're doing a shit ton and your team is like nowhere to be found. It's frustrating to whiff pulse bombs. There's a lot of frustrating moments on her, but I do think that there are a lot of really fun moments on her. I'm going to put her here. Me personally, I would probably put her up here, but I think on average, she's going to be right here. There are equally as many people that get frustrated by playing Tracer as they do have fun playing Tracer, but I think on average, she is just a fun character to play because she has a ton of mobility, right? And mobility is kind of really fun. Kind of like how Mercy is really fun. I think that there's less frustrating moments on Mercy on average, just because you're not trying to accomplish the same things as a Tracer's trying to accomplish. Mercy's goal is just to stay alive most of the time. That's your objective. Versus Tracer feels like if you're not, you have to stay alive and then accomplish all these things, and it's like a checklist of things you got to do, and if you're not doing enough, your team is losing, and that can feel like extra pressure and can be kind of frustrating. But it is, if you're like super good, or you feel like you're smurfing a lobby, you're definitely having a blast on this character. But that's true for a lot of characters. Widowmaker, ZZZ. Yeah, this one might be a hot take too. I think that especially with the one-shot change of the character feels really bad, especially when you hit a shot that you knew would have been a kill, but isn't a kill. It's not kind of the same recency bias as Sim, but I also do think that Widowmaker probably needs a compromise. I've said this before. Get rid of the one-shot, right? Or it's not completely gone, but you super reduce its power level. You have to give her something else. Give her something else. That's the only way that it kind of feels fair, right? Otherwise, the character just feels more frustrating than she was before, and then people are just wishing for the old version of her instead of like characters that lose something but gain something. That's at least a little bit better. Even if the something that they gain still sucks, it's better than just losing something straight up. Yeah, I'm gonna put her down here. Winston is one of the most fun characters in the game. Yeah, another biased pick, but I don't care. Winston, primaling is super fun. Diving is super fun. Getting shut down and getting shit on and stuff like that, that's not fun, but that's just kind of what characters you're up against a lot of the time. But in all the moments where Winston is good, or you have a follow-up DPS or whatever, you're having a blast on this character. He has some of the highest peaks, period, with fun in the game. I'm putting him in the highest tiers of play. He's kind of what Overwatch is all about, and he's a super blast to play. Especially getting that perfect primal is just so satisfying. It's definitely a lot of fun. Hammond, he has frustrating moments similar to like Doom and stuff like that, but overall I do think that he gets a lot of fun. I'm gonna put him, you know, right above Sombra. I think he's a fun character. He would be higher, but there are really frustrating times with him, especially due to the characters like Sombra. Frustrating characters where you just feel like you can't really do anything. You just feel like a ball rolling in the wind, but most of the time you're kind of doing what you want. You get to set the game on your terms, and that mobility, that level of mobility, giving you a blast. Mobility is fun, guys. You know, it is what it is. Mobility is fun. One-shotting's fun. winning is fun. Yeah, I think you see a theme. Winning is fun, but yeah. Zarya, a good time. A good time. I think I have more fun on Zarya than all these other characters down here. Getting high charge, beaming people down, it's fun. Zarya is more fun when you're the best player in the lobby. When you're by far the best player in the lobby and you're just walking forward and just beaming everybody. Yeah, she's super fun. You just have max energy all the time. You walk forward, you get kills. Super fun. In a super competitive lobby where you're getting punished all the time, or you have a Tracer freaking Nat behind you constantly shooting you, baiting out your bubbles. Yeah, not as fun. But, you know, in the lobbies where she's working in, you're having a blast. Zenyatta. You know, maybe the past me would put Zenyatta lower, but I'm putting Zenyatta all the way the frick up here. And here's the reason why. There's two reasons I have it. Number one is the simple one. The kick is freaking a blast. There's nothing like kicking someone over and over and over again. Kicking someone off the map. Kicking someone into the wall. Kicking a ball that's trying to run away over and over again. The kick is a blast. Like, there's so much fun about the kick. Yeah, it's the silliest thing they've ever added, but it's also the thing I love the most. I love the kick on Zen. It's so fun. The other thing is, when you're up against characters that are threats to you, especially like characters like Tracer, there becomes this game where you're trying to outplay the hell out of this character, this person. And yeah, you're probably at a little bit of a disadvantage, but there's nothing like, you know, two-balling a Tracer into a melee, or freaking completely outplaying a Genji, or, you know, discording a Winston, hitting him in the head. He jumps on you, you kick him up, you hit him in the head, you freaking melee him again. It's just like, there's so many fun things you can do. Yeah, if you're getting shit on by like 2 divers or 3 divers, yeah, it can be frustrating, but I think a lot of those situations are less often. And when you just get to cook on Zen, there's really nothing like it. You get a lot of fun. So overall, this is my mostest funnest to least fun tier list. And like I said, this is the objective only list that matters. Like, you know, your opinion does. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely let me know down below if you agree or disagree. Everyone's gonna have a different list here. I tried to make this as objective as possible, but of course my own biases are always gonna leak in. It's impossible for me to be completely objective because everyone also has their own opinions on things. And your main is honestly what you're probably gonna have the most fun with. But definitely let me know what characters you would move around and why. And do me a solid and smash that like, subscribe, and thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you next time.